Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I want to talk about some of my reading goals for 2015, but mostly about all of these series that I want to either start or finish, or start and finish within the next year. The first goal for 2015 is the number of books I want to read. I am starting graduate school in January, so I'm really not sure how much that is going to affect my reading. I always did undergrad a little differently than other people. I wasn't a huge studier. I still got very good grades, but I didn't really need to study. That's not bragging, it's just kind of how I operate. So I'm really not sure how graduate school is going to be different or the same, and how much time I'm going to have for myself and free time and all of that. So I started BookTube in the middle of the year, and that is when I started my Goodreads reading goal for this year. And I told myself I was going to read 30 books. I ended up reading like 60. I think I might get up to 70 by the end of the year. It is the beginning of December right now, and I'm filming this because this had to be pre-filmed because I'm on vacation probably right now and this is posted. But I didn't know how much I was going to read, so I think I ended up reading about 70-ish books. So I figured for next year, for 2015, I will also put my goal at about 70-ish books, maybe 70 or 75. If I was able to read that in a half a year with a ton of time, I think even with grad school, I'll be able to read about 70 books in the entire year. So I will reevaluate this in the middle of the year next year and see if I need to up it or lower it depending on how things kind of change and how grad school does affect me. But right now I'm aiming for the 70-ish mark for number of books read in 2015. Number 2 is a very common one, and that is to lessen the TBR load and to kind of get some books read off my shelf. And I'm going to be doing a book buying limit. I don't want to completely cut myself off from book buying because it's something I really enjoy doing, and if I did that, I feel like I would just like binge, kind of like binge eating. You know, if you are on a diet and you tell yourself you can't eat that, that's all you want to do. And so I'm just not going to do that to myself. So I'm going to put myself on a little bit of a book buying limit. I'm going to do the read 3 before you buy. So I'm going to read 3 books before I can buy 1 book, and still kind of keep it to books that I really know I need to buy, you know, finishing out books in series that I don't already have completed on my shelves and that kind of thing, new releases, and just kind of trying to keep it to that. I'm not going to tell myself that I can't buy books during book outlet sales because that would literally kill me. So I'm still allowing myself book outlet sales, and I'm still allowing myself new releases, especially for series I've already read, but even just like new releases of something really highly anticipated that I just really want to read. And yeah, I'm just gonna try to, you know, if I don't read my 3 or whatever and something's coming up that I need to pre-order, like I'm gonna let myself do that. So it's a little cheaty, probably doesn't even sound like a limit really, but I'm gonna try to keep my book buying pretty concise. I kind of put myself on a little bit of a limit before the holidays here, so I'm kind of used to it now. I'm just gonna kind of roll that over and hopefully get my TBR shelf to like under 40 maybe on my shelves. I like having a lot of books to choose from because I read depending on my mood, so I don't want to like completely limit my TBR shelf because that would just make me very anxious, then I don't have anything to read, and then I'm gonna just buy, you know, like 70 books and get back up to this anyway. So I'm definitely going to keep enough on my shelf that I have a ton to choose from, but kind of lessen the load so I don't get to like 300 books on my shelves unread. Like I want to have the majority of my shelves read at any given time. So number 3, and my biggest goal, is to finish up a lot of series and start a lot of series while also finishing them within the year. So there are a few series that I've already started that I want to wrap up or at least get caught up with if they aren't all released yet. I want to get, you know, to their newest release. And then there are some series that I have either on my shelves or really want to read for a really, really long time, and I want to start those and finish them if they are a completed series within the next year. So first I want to talk about the couple series that I've already started that I would like to finish next year. The first is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Everyone obviously knows about this. This is about Celaena Sardothien, the badass assassin of everyone's lives. So I've only read Throne of Glass so far. I read that, I think, the end of the summer. And I currently own Crown of Midnight, which is his second book, and then I want to hopefully buy Heir of Fire soon. It is on my Christmas wish list. I am pre-filming this, as I said, so I'm not really sure if I've gotten it yet, but if I have, hopefully I can finish this pretty early on next year and kind of be caught up so I don't get spoiled potentially, because it's one of my biggest fears is I'll get spoiled for this series. So hopefully I can catch up with that, maybe like January, February. The next series I want to wrap up is the Anna and the French Kiss companion series. It's hiding back here on the very bottom, so I'm not going to take Anna and the French Kiss out. But I read Anna and the French Kiss over the summer. I do not own Lola and the Boy Next Door or Isla and the Happily Ever After, but I plan on buying those. Again, they're on my Christmas wish list. So hopefully I can get those and then wrap that series up before the end of the year next year. I really do enjoy Stephanie Perkins' writing as far as contemporaries. You guys know I have a lot of problems with contemporary. I don't really attach to many of the characters, but I really enjoyed Anna when I read it. So those will be kind of interspersed in there when I need kind of a break throughout the year. And lastly, I want to finish the Serena Legacy trilogy by Anna Banks. I've already read Of Poseidon and Of Triton this year, and I just ordered Of Neptune during the Black Friday sale at Book Outlet, so I plan on finishing that sometime next year. I'm not sure if I'll wait till the summer again because it is a mermaid book, so it's pretty good for summery reads, or if I'll read it in the winter when I'm feeling like I need summer. So we'll see, but I do plan on finishing that series next year. Next, let's talk about the series that I really want to start and finish next year. Some of these I own one of the books, some of them I own multiple of the books, some of them I don't own any of the books, but they're all series that I really want to read next year. First is the Chaos Walking trilogy by Patrick Ness. This is the first book, The Knife of Never Letting Go, and this whole series is completed, so I really want to pick up this series and read it. It's about people that can apparently hear each other's thoughts or talk through each other's minds. I'm not completely sure. I haven't spoiled myself or anything on this, so I really want to start and finish this series. Again, I only own the first book. The next two are on my Christmas wish list. Hopefully I can get these books and finish them within the next year. Next is the Shades of Milk and Honey series by Mary Robinette Kowal. I actually have all of the books in the series, so it's Shades of Milk and Honey, Glamour in Glass, and Without a Summer. And these are kind of like historical fiction fantasies, and it's basically set in a Jane Austen type, Regency period world, and the main character has glamour, which is a kind of magic. So I'm interested to read these. It's, I love anything Jane Austen, who doesn't? So it's very much like that, and I have the entire series so I can marathon through it next year. Next is the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I, again, own all of the books in this series, so I own Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. So many of you know that this is a fantasy series set in Russia, and I've heard really, really good things about it. I picked up the whole series because I knew I was going to be able to marathon through them, and I haven't picked them up yet, so I'm thinking this will be another read that might potentially start in January, February when it's cold outside, because it takes place in Russia. Next is the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. I do not own these books yet, another one on my Christmas wish list, blah blah blah. So I've heard nothing but amazing things about this series from everybody that I trust on science fiction and fantasy, and I've heard really great things about Brandon Sanderson. I also want to read his other series, the Stormlight Archive series that's just starting. It's Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. So I want to read those, but I want to read Mistborn first. Everyone says to start with Mistborn, so it's a really interesting fantasy series, and the magic system in there is really, really cool. So I really want to read these. Again, hope I get them for Christmas, blah, blah, blah. But I definitely want to pick those up and finish them within the next year. Next is The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. This is a YA fantasy-ish, dystopian-ish series where the main characters end up having superpowers, and it sounds amazing. The last book in the series just came out in the Afterlight. So far I only have the first book, but I plan on, again, buying the whole series and marathoning through it in the month. It is really, really well loved by a lot of people that I really trust, so I'm very interested to get into the series as soon as possible. Next is the For Darkness Shows Us Stars and Across a Star-Swept Sea companion series by Diana Peter Freund. These are not sequels, but they are set in the same world. These are both retellings. For Darkness Shows Us Stars is a Persuasion retelling from Jane Austen, and Across a Star-Swept Sea is a retelling of The Scarlet Pimpernel. So I have wanted to read these books forever, and I just keep putting them off for some reason. They're set in like a sci-fi world, which is amazing, and I've actually met the author. I met her over the summer, and I really want to read them, but I keep putting them off for other things that I wanted to finish before the end of this year, so these will definitely get my attention in 2015. Next is the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I only own the last book, which is Opposition, but I have never read any Jennifer L. Armentrout, and she's another author that I met over the summer, and I absolutely adore her personality, and I really want to read something by her because everybody loves her. So the first two books are currently on Book Outlet, sitting in my cart, waiting to be bought. So this will definitely be a series that I will read next year, and I heard it's very easy to fly through, like it's paranormal romance with aliens, and not anything I've really ever read before. So I'm really interested to see how I feel about this series. I know some people really love it, some are kind of about it, but it seems like a fun series, and I'm really interested to finally pick this up next year. Next is the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. This is an adult fantasy series, and it's supposed to be a combination of Ocean's 11 heist type situations with fantasy. You guys know I love fantasy, I love thieves, I have heard nothing but good things from everybody who has read this series. There are 3 books out currently. I only have the first one, but I plan on just picking them up as soon as I read them and getting the next one. So I'm really excited to finally be able to devote the time to this. Again, another series that I really wanted to read, but I got this book late in the year and I didn't want to rush through it. I want to enjoy it and savor it and just love every second of it. So I'm very excited to pick this up very soon, probably in January, because I've been waiting for so long to read this book. Lastly is the Aeon duology. I own both of these books. I own Aeon and Iona, and this is a fantasy series that is about a girl who cross-dresses basically in order to become a dragon trainer, which sounds amazing. It takes place in China, so a whole different kind of fantasy world, and I have both the books on my shelf and just haven't read them because they are, again, chunky. So next year I will finally be able to pick up the series, and I haven't read a series with dragons in it recently, so I'm very interested to see some dragons. And the very last series is kind of a bonus series. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish it next year or not, but I did want to mention it to you because I think a lot of you might be excited that I might finally be reading this series. Maybe you can guess. I'm going to try to read the Percy Jackson series as well as the Heroes of Olympus. So I really want to read the Heroes of Olympus, and I know you have to read Percy Jackson first, but Percy Jackson obviously is middle grade. I have never read it before, and I don't completely love middle grade. I like some of it, but it's a big series of middle grade to read, so I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to pick up the Percy Jacksons from the library and just read through them as fast as possible, and then buy the Heroes of Olympus books for my collection because I find those books absolutely beautiful, and I really love the covers of those, and it's really been long enough. I love Greek mythology. This is the biggest series out there surrounding Greek mythology and retellings and that kind of thing, so I just need to finally do it. So for those of you that have been telling me to do it forever, I'm gonna do it, I think, hopefully, but I'm not saying I'm gonna necessarily promise myself to read the whole series next year. So far, this series I just mentioned, all the books I need to catch up on, is 31 books, and the Percy Jackson series adds on, what, like another 14 to that, so I don't want to completely decide my entire year TBR right now. So since I'm only reading about 70 books and 30 of them are already kind of claimed by all these series I want to finish, I want to be able to give myself a little wiggle room. So I'm hoping to get through the Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus series next year, but I may not. But I just want to put that out there for you guys. So those are my 3 big goals for next year. Comment down below and let me know some of your resolutions and some of your goals for next year and everything else. I'm really interested to see all these videos that have been popping up about people's goals and to hear some of yours. I'm keeping myself very limited, again, because of grad school. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself or anything, so 3 was enough for me, but let me know what some of your plans are for the next year. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!